we decided that one of the best ways to go along with the subject that we're going to talk about tonight, and next week, and the week after, and the week after that, is Eliyahu Navi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Eliyahu Navi, Eliyahu Tishbi, Eliyahu Hagiladi, B'meira yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, B'meira yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hagiladi, B'meira yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, B'meira yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David. Na 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 So, hi, Shalom. So, like, just a recap, a 1 minute, 30-second recap. And we started out the year with creation. You see the title, right? Creation, Revelation, Redemption. We started out the year with creation. We really did some interesting work. We maybe really never finished anything, but we talked about Hashem making this world in a certain way, and the process, and some of the whys behind why is the world so hard? What's going on here? Why is it so like a barrier, an iron curtain between us and Shemayim? What happened? So we talked about it, and then I think Hanukkah came. So then we talked about Hanukkah, and we talked about the light that Hashem is shining despite the fact that the world is darkened. And then we came to Purim, and then we came to Pesach, and then we came to Shavuot. And Hashem's revelation on Sinai, and how powerful that was, how the whole physical reality that we experienced at Sinai began to be an undulating energy form, and we lost our sense of physicality. The carpet of physicality was pulled out from under us, and we asked Hashem, give that back, like we can't handle this level of energy. And Hashem said, okay, but at least you should know that I'm here, and remember it, and know that, and carry with you all that with all the days of your life and all the generations, to Mashiach, carry with you the fact that behind physical reality is an energy system that I myself am running. And I want to reveal it, but you need to be ready, and you need to be instrumental in me revealing my light to you, the light behind the material world. In the meantime, you're in here, you do the best you can from the bottom up. You want the light to shine down from the top down? It might do that once in a while. There are miracles, and you should appreciate them and acknowledge them. Hashem, awesome, thank you so much. I called on you and you came to me, you helped me. And then it gets hidden again, like a lightning on a dark night sky. But to know that it's there, to know that behind all the events of our collective life and all the events of our individual lives is a divine providence, is a hand, is a plan, is a planner, a designer, a consciousness who wants us to know that he's there, but he doesn't impose his presence on us. On the contrary, he hides. El Mistater, he's the God who hides in his creation, the Melech HaOlam, the king who hides in his creation. And all of that is a preparation for redemption. So we call it the 3 R's: creation, revelation, redemption. Read and write and arithmetic is the source for that. And redemption is really now what we want to talk about. When the light is going to be revealed again in more powerful ways than ever before. All of creation comes full circle, and the light that got hidden is now going to start to emerge. How's that going to happen? So we have masters of history, or a meta-history. We have teachers, besides we have the prophets, we have the sages of the Talmud, of the Midrash, and how history works, and what the end of history is going to be like, from Isaiah and Joel and Jeremiah and Yecheskel and Habakkuk and what's the one I wanted to think of? Something in mind. Micha is along with Yeshaya together they say the same thing. All of a sudden it skipped me, but I wanted to say, but okay. So besides the Nevi'im, we have the sages, and later and closer to us we have the Ramchal and the Gra. The Zohar. Like how so obviously it's more than we can do, but we have to at least talk about what they said. So yeah, last week and tonight was devoted to the structure of creation, revelation, redemption, that the sages, the Chachamim, they embedded it. They embedded this dynamic creation, revelation in our prayers. Shabbat, Friday night is creation, commemoration of creation. Shabbat morning is commemoration of the receiving the Torah on Sinai. It's embedded in the prayers themselves, the language of the prayers. I bring it here. Yeah, I'll bring it here. We'll see it. Saturday afternoon is what? Commemorates the thing that didn't happen yet, from our point of view. But the energy of it is there. Geula, redemption. Right? And so what happens at Suda Shlishit, especially, in Mincha we say, Ata echad v'shimcha echad. U'mi ki amcha ki Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. Who you are one, and your name is one, and who is like your people, Israel, a unified, a singular people on earth. And that Ata echad, v'shimcha echad doesn't exist anywhere in our entire Tanakh, nowhere else, except one place. What we say all the time, Aleinu, B'yom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad. On that day, Hashem will be one and His name will be one. So to say you are one and your name is one is more powerful than saying Hashem in third person, Hashem is one and His name is one. The will be is all just, again, from our point of view, from within the fabric of our lives. It's a future thing, but Hashem is always one and His name is always one, and we can go into what that means. But the point is that to say something in you, in direct, right to, we have a sense during the third meal that it's really happening. During Mincha and the third meal is when you yourself to yearn for the redeemed way that you can't do it any other time because it's a protected time. It's called Rava de Ravin, which means the Ratzon HaRatzonot, the will of all wills, the desire that encompasses all desires. All of our desires of every human being, of every creature that ever existed from the beginning of time to the end of time is all included in one great desire of the one who made us. Whoa. So I don't have to say, I want what I want. I say, Hashem, I want what you want, because in what you want includes everything that I could ever want. That door is open at Mincha in the Seudah Shlishit of Shabbat. I'm not giving up anything. It's a win, triple win. It's like, I want what I want, but you know what? It's wiser on my part to want what you want, because what you want includes everything that I could ever want. That's the concept that's called in the Zohar, Ra'ava de Ra'avin. Reish Ayin Vav. Aleph, maybe. Ra'ava, maybe it's a hey, maybe. And Aramaic doesn't always end with hays. But whatever the case, Ra'ava means Ratzon. Ratzon is will, desire. Okay. So that's like really a strong thing. You can see it for yourself on page 5. On Shabbat evening in Arvit, we commemorate the completion of the Maaseh Bereshit, the work of creation. Ata kidashta et Yom HaShavi'i l'shmecha, you sanctified and elevated the seventh day for your name's sake. You established it from the beginning as the purpose for which heaven and earth were created. You blessed it above all other days and sanctified it above all festivals. And so it is written in your Torah, the heavens and the earth and all their hosts were completed. With the advent of the seventh day, Elohim brought the work he had done to completion. On the seventh day, he ceased from all the work he had completed. Therefore, Elohim blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it and elevated it. For on it, he ceased from all his work, which he had created for man to complete. There's a whole thing at the end here of what those last words mean is Asher bara Elohim la'asot, that he created to complete, that he created to make. In literal Hebrew, what do you mean create to make? You just created it. What do you have to make it for? So there's a continuation, a process of continuation here, both on God's part and our part, that he created it in order to continue to make it, to bring it to perfection. So that's on page 7 and 8. At the end is a whole long thing of the deeper meaning of Asher bara Elohim la'asot. In the meantime, we see clearly that Friday night commemorates creation, right? On Shabbat morning, in Shachrit, we commemorate the fact that Hashem gave us the Aseret Dibrot on Sinai, the fourth of which is the commandment to keep the Shabbat. Yismach Moshe. Moshe rejoices in the gift of his portion, for you called him a faithful servant. You crowned his head with an aura of splendor when he stood before you on Mount Sinai. In his hand, he brought down 2 tablets of stone upon which the command to observe the Shabbat was inscribed. And so it's written in your Torah, the children of Israel shall keep the Shabbat, affirming the Shabbat as an eternal covenant for all generations. Hashem says it's an eternal sign between me and the children of Israel. It bears witness to the fact that Hashem made the heavens and the earth in 6 days. But on the 7th day, he rested and he ceased the process of creating matter and imbue the entire creation with nefesh, by nafash. So that's one way to translate. That's Aryeh Kaplan helped us with that. He ceased the downward flow of the hiding of his energy into matter. And on Shabbat, he took a deep breath. By nafash also means, So he breathed spirituality into creation. Not that it wasn't there already, but whatever. Who doesn't have it? You need more light back there? I think that's the. There's one more light back there you can turn on the back wall. If you need more light. Finally, Shabbat afternoon in Mincha, we commemorate something that hasn't happened yet. How do you commemorate something that hasn't happened yet? Isn't that nice? That's why in Seudah Shlishit, we don't make Kiddush before, like we do on Friday night and Saturday morning. Kiddush, you have to stand up and say, we're doing this in honor of Hashem having made the creation. Saturday morning, we're doing this in honor of the fact that he gave us his Torah. But Saturday afternoon...
Someone told me once that the Rambam said that you should actually have Kiddush in Seudah Shlishit.
Well, we do Kiddush in Seudah Shlishit, but in the middle of the meal, not at the beginning. You can't stand up and commemorate it yet because it hasn't happened. It's there. It exists on a hidden level. It's a function of consciousness, is to get into that state of consciousness where you know that the redemption is imminent, and that on the spiritual level in heaven, it's already here. And when we move into that state, that right brain state, that oceanic state, and we sing those songs in the dark, like they used to do in the old days, now we have to have a special show on Shabbat in order that it should be light on Friday night and not dark, not light on Saturday evening. I don't know how to do that yet. But whatever the case, it's a very special time where you're breaking through the veil. The songs that you sing during the third meal are that, and the Kiddush that you make is tucked in and hidden in the middle of the meal in order that it shouldn't be an official proclamation that the redemption is here, but a hidden yearning that we connect with. So also for sure the Ari, you have to make Kiddush during Seudah Shlishit. But again, it's not at the beginning, it's during the meal. Okay.
So you say you have wine, you just say break often, or like?
Yeah, there's a few verses to say before it that some say. Or they're optional, but the main thing is the bracha.
Doesn't it make sense if Shabbos is outside of time and space? The fact that the Gula has happened already makes sense because you're not in time. You know? Yeah,
well, Mincha of Shabbat, besides being called Rava de Ravim, the will of all wills, the desire of all desires, is called the Shabbat of Shabbat. Mincha of Shabbat and Seudah Shlishit. And that's why you continue and you hold on to Shabbat into the dark, is that you're trying to give Hashem the chance, or maybe a better way to say it is the simple way to say it is you're yearning for the great Shabbat. You're yearning that Shabbat won't end. And that's shown by keeping the Shabbat longer into the dark, right? You've all heard that. So it's kind of a special time. So the words we say during Mincha is Atay Chad. So I add a few things in order to clarify. In the ultimate future, it will be revealed that you are one and your name is one. It's true now. Right? How revealed is it? How hidden is it? It'll be totally revealed. And then there's the idea of, well, what does it mean? Why to separate it? Why don't you just say you're one? Why do you have to add that your name is one? Or if you want to say your name, you and your name are one. It represents two aspects of it, of the way Hashem runs the world. These questions are asked and answered in the Zohar in terms of Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. It's not really for here. I've written about it extensively in my Pirush on Shema Yisrael, but it's a little bit. But it is dealt with. It's a strange formulation, in other words. It has to do with Hashem Hu Elohim. Hashem is the Hashem, the Infinite One, is the director, the author and the director of the play. He's above the play. He's transcendent the, but he's the one who created the scenes of the play, of the drama, in order to reveal himself to us. So Hashem is the one who hides. Who? Hashem Hu Ha-Elohim is the one who hides, the physicist who hides as a simple person, the king who hides as a common man, the wise man who speaks to his 2-year-old child in her language, right? Coming down in right. So Shlomo said to his daughter, when she said, "Daddy, I see your picture." She said, "Yes, it's like you could say, that's me. But what it is that is, how did he say it? That is Hashem Hu Elohim. That picture is not me. But through the picture, you can get back up to who I am." He also said that you can go to a gallery of an incredibly famous artist and walk, and you see all the people who are watching you are going through along and seeing one painting after another and saying, "I thought this was a good artist. I'm really disappointed in this kind of work. I don't know what they're talking about." And then the artist comes out and says, "You don't understand my work. Hashem is the artist. You think the world is wrong. There's something wrong with the world that doesn't run right. You know, like, a God like that who would make a world like this, I don't have anything to do with him." Hashem says, "You don't understand how to look at my world. Hashem Hu Elohim." Even in the scenes even in the most difficult scenes, you can work. There must be a reason. Give him some credit that he made this world with tremendous wisdom. I'm going a little bit off in order to go there, but Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad has to do with a transcendent and an immanent aspect of Hashem, and the seeming contradiction between the two, and that on Shabbat, at the third meal, maybe all of Shabbat, and anytime you want, but where it comes from in terms of the week, it comes from the third meal, is you overcome that dichotomy. You overcome. Even in Lachadodi, it says, "Shemor v'zachor v'dibur echad, shmi'anu ela miyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'leteferet u'letehila." So you're already saying, Hashem, come, Lachadodi, come to meet the bride from below. Come from above to meet the bride from below. That's the image here of come from above. Stop being so far away from us. And come to meet the immanence of Hashem that's here the whole time, because there was an apparent duality, and we want you to know that we see through duality, and we know that it's been one the whole time, it just had to be hidden. And we're the children who bring mommy and daddy together. Hashem Echad, U'Shemo Echad. Does that make sense a little bit? Just the ideas, because this is, okay. So that's why it says you are one and your name is one. In the meantime, in the future, that will be totally revealed. In the meantime, which single nation on earth proclaims your oneness like your people Israel? Again, the proclamation of oneness can be an external thing. I can say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, and I can think, all right, listen everybody, Hashem is one, but it's not one for me. It's just like a loudspeaker, hello. But we have to make our prayers in a way that it has to touch me also. It has to touch me so deeply that I know that because Hashem is one, I am also one. My personality vis-a-vis my soul is my transcendence, is my soul, and my immanence is my personality. And I don't necessarily like everything about my personality. And like I'm a loser, and I'm at this, and I'm at that, and this happened, and that happened. Hey, that's also Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad. Whoa, interesting, right? So if my Shema Yisrael doesn't touch upon the inner chambers of my own being, I'm also talking to myself on the outside and making like I know something. And Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad is a very private inner experience that we should all hope to be in, just to be in it. It's not like you can wrap your head around it. You have to let it wrap itself around you because it's too big for us. Hashem Echad U'Shemo Echad. I don't know what it means. You can say that in your mind. I don't know what it means that you're one. Please let me have some experience of your oneness. If it has to be on the top of a mountain or at the bottom of the sea, let me have that experience, and then I'll somehow practice it as much as I can, and I'll try and get it even when I'm davening to you, which is the time we're supposed to have it, but it's not so easy. But you have to give yourself time. You have to breathe. You have to be able to have a practice that if you're not saying the words with some degree of inner consistency, that you can stop and say to yourself, I don't want to just say words. I want to talk to you. That itself is an opening to his oneness. So again, oneness is a big thing. I may be overdoing it, but to know a little bit of what the dynamics of Hashem Echad. Echad, as I also heard from Reb Shlomo in upstate New York, in the exact Shabbaton that he did, where he really gave over, and for the first time I understood what Sudah Shlishit was. It was at that retreat that he said, Echad is Ein Chotzetz Davar. That the letters of Echad are an acrostic for no thingness intervenes. Ein Chotzetz Davar. Davar is, what's a chatzitza? It's like a Band-Aid. If you want to go in the mikveh and you have a Band-Aid on. Or if your bathing suit is if you're in the Kinneret and you want to make it into a mikveh, you have to loosen your bathing suit because it shouldn't be a chatzitza. It's the best mikveh in the whole world. Mm-hmm. Summertime is coming, everybody. When you go into the mikveh of the Kinneret, you go down and then you come up, and hopefully it's not as filled as it should be, but you come up and you look at the trees and you look at the sky and you say, oh my goodness, I'm in a sea of Ruach HaKodesh. This is a sea of water that gives you Ruach HaKodesh, that when you come out of it, you feel really, you get it, that we are in a sea. What is a fish knows he's in the sea? No, that's because there's no contrast. But now coming out of the water of the Kinneret, going back in and coming back out, you're in a sea of Ruach HaKodesh. It's not that when Hashem gives us in the redemption, that he gives us nevuah, prophecy again in Ruach HaKodesh, that it'll be like it was in the old days, Yechidei Segula, only individuals. And even though there were actually tens of thousands, but now it's going to be every single human being in the world, because it's not because I did something. It's general blanket of that's going to come down and permeate. It's going to lift all of us up. Those who already did some work beforehand are going to have much more clear and precise experience. It's not going to be the same, but the general is going to be for everybody. What I call the quantum leap in consciousness of Mele'ah ha'aretz dea et Adonai Kimayim liyam mechasim. I think it's Isaiah chapter 11, if I'm not mistaken. and that the consciousness of Hashem will cover the earth like the waters cover the sea. So I couldn't not say that. That was like beyond me. Thank you. In the meantime, which single nation on earth proclaims your oneness like your people Israel? For through their observance of Shabbat, they glimpse the splendor of your greatness and the crown of your redemption that you will reveal on the great Shabbat of the future. It is for this reason that you have given your people the weekly Shabbat as a day of tranquility, sanctity, and spiritual elevation. On it, Abraham is uplifted, Yitzhak rejoices. Yaakov and his children, what is it? It's Abraham Yagel. Abraham is uplifted. Now, of course, Yagel means to be happy, to rejoice. Why did I translate it uplifted? Remember what I told you? That Yagel comes from Gal. It just rises up and rises up. It becomes more and more powerful, like a wave, a Gal. It's joy that comes from the depths and lifts you up. So Yagel, Abraham Yagel. Okay. Yitzhak rejoices and Yaakov and his children rest. It's a rest of love and devotion, a rest of truth and faithfulness, a rest of peace, tranquility, and security, a perfect physical rest and spiritual calm with which you are pleased. May your children therefore always recognize and know that their rest is from you. It is a fulfillment of your supreme will, because it's called in Hebrew, mi'itcha hi minuchatam, mi'itcha, from you he is minuchatam, their rest. So the Ari says, me'itcha, from you. It's a special word, itcha, me'itcha, right? Me'et chaf, from the kaf of Keter. From Keter, your supreme will, comes Shabbat. Your fulfillment of your supreme will, their rest will then be considered as if they gave their lives for the sanctification of your name. So the point was that the creation, revelation, redemption dynamic is embedded in Shabbat. Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday evening. Friday night, where we came from, creation. Saturday mincha, where we're going. Saturday morning, what's going to get us from there to there? What's the link, the Torah, the revelation of Hashem's light in the midst of this world that's going to bring us from the creation where it was a process of hiding Hashem's light until it became occluded, and then the Torah comes and gives us a way of revealing that light in the midst of creation and even drawing down more light through our recognition, our brachot, until we become instrumental in the final revelation of that light in the redemption. Okay, that's what we talked about this week. We didn't talk about this last week. Last week we did Mariv, for those of you who were here. Because Mariv is another embodiment of the same dynamic. Here's that. This nusach was, it's more or less Sfard and Eidot HaMizrach. It's the same. Yeah, there's not even, there's one letter difference in Sfard and Sfardi. So there's no difference in translation. These will be in both of my Sidurim, the Breslov Siddur coming out soon, and the Sfardi Siddur. So the idea of adding all these little brackets is not simple. It's like, it's in order to be able to make it readable and what's implied. So that's the license that I have to add the words. Okay, back on page 1, just for those of you who weren't here, so we pointed out that the first bracha of Ma'ariv, of Arvit, is about the nighttime sky, right? It's the same idea in the morning about the daytime sky, but the daytime in Shachrit is more complicated because it's longer bracha. So the easier way to start is with Arvit. So to see the point of the first bracha, you can see the Sfard Ashkenaz version. Intrinsically blessed are you. And at the very end, intrinsically blessed are you. But in the middle, it's all He. They're all capitalized. Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who with His creative word gradually brings on evenings. With wisdom, He opens gates of dawnlight in the eastern sky. It should be, who gradually brings on evenings in the western sky. With wisdom, He opens gates of dawnlight in the eastern sky. You got to picture the earth as a revolving globe, right? That there's a dawn and a sunset every second. And it's constantly turning. So that's implied in the words Ma'ariv Aravim. It's a plural. You make evenings. But then the opening gates is a concept of the opening of the gates of the sun in the morning. So it's on the other side of the planet. So that's how they're looking at it here. They're looking at it as a complete system, as an earth, the system, the relationship of the earth to the sun. Even though they didn't have the technical, certainly the technological advantage that we have. They never saw the earth floating in space like we can. They had to see it in their mind. It says in the Zohar already that the earth is round. But in the 1300s still, the Spanish Tadores, right, and whatever, was still worried about falling off the earth, right? Somewhere in that time. Magellan. When was he? So that's, all right, so we have already an idea of roundness then. So yeah, it's built into the bracha. So that's one thing. But the main thing here is that it's about our relationship to the larger to the solar system and stars. Okay.
Larger patterns. Larger patterns.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's creation, but it's specifically because it's a nighttime bracha. It's like what goes on in nature at the changing of the guard from day to night, and we say Marav, because davening, as Rabbi Nachman points out, is always at a crossroads, as a transition between one thing to the other, is when we specially daven. Okay, so now on the second page, page 2, the top of page 2 is the second bracha. We did it, and that you'll see on page 2 is going to be one of our, one of the things we will mention tonight. I mean, I want everything that I say, if I go too fast or whatever. So a question like that, Chaya Sarah, is helping me. Thank you very much, because I means I have to I have to engage with that question. But I might have skipped over a little bit because of what we did last week. I have that kind of a thing where I try and cover over what we did, but not way that I completely repeat myself. But again, so you see, it's a challenge. I have people here who were not, who were. It doesn't matter. I'll do the best I can, and I want there to be a flow of questions of holy awes, H-A-A-H's, right? Oh wow, holy wows. This is such a special thing. It's simple, but it's elegant. Okay, so the top of page 2 is, you have loved your people, the house of Israel, in the eternal world of love. You have taught us the Torah and its commandments, its statutes and its laws. Therefore, Hashem our God, we shall meditate on your statutes when we lie down and speak in them when we rise up. We shall delight and rejoice in your teachings of your Torah, your commandments, and your statutes forevermore. For they are our very life and length of our days. We shall delve deeply into them by day and by night. May your love never depart from us for all eternity. Blessed are you. And then at the very end, who loves his people Israel. Like the whole thing is you. All of the first bracha was he, except the beginning and end. And we talked about how come the end of every bracha always is third person. We said the one example that's not, we went into that, whatever. I have it all written down. There's a time for everything. But here the point is to be very clear. What we're trying to do here is to pay attention to distinctions. Without distinctions, the mind goes to sleep. Without paying attention to what you're saying, you can be a frum Jew, you can daven all your life, and I can ask you simple questions about what you just said, what it means, and you really don't know because you've stopped paying attention. So what I'm trying to do here is to point out distinctions to wake us up again to the beauty and to the incredible wisdom that was embedded in these, and the powerful idea behind these seemingly simple prayers. So this is all you. Again, except for the last part, but it's all you. The first one is all he. The second one is all you. Oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? Why is creation? The creation bracha in he, which is third person, which in Hebrew is called nistar, hidden. Third person in Hebrew is called nistar. And second person is called nochach, which means facing, present. If I speak to you directly, it's nochach, facing you, direct, present. And if I speak about you, I speak about you in the third person. So in prayer, we actually go back and forth between speaking to Hashem as you and speaking to Hashem as he, which the mind does not like to do. You don't normally do that. If Yitzhak is in the room and I don't speak to you, Yitzhak, but I turn away from you and I talk about you, it's not very polite. If I face you and speak to you. But then I turn to Neely and I say, Yitzhak. I don't want to say it in front of him, but it was really, but he is. And it's amazing, but he wouldn't want to hear this. And he said, Yitzhak, I love being in your house. It's really special. And Neely, like when I've been in Yitzhak's house, like today, I was working in the computer and my wife put on Rishimu and like a incredible flute piece that his wife does. And like, oh my God, like nobody can do that. Anyway, so talking in you and he, but talking to the same person in you and he is very, in Hebrew, we have a thing of when you're speaking to a rabbi or a judge or a king or a queen, you have the third person royal, the royal third person. Kevodo.
I sort of had to do with separation. When you're speaking you, you're not separate. When you're speaking he, it's sort of like you're paying respect and you know that he's there, but you're separate somehow. It's
right.
Like
it's respectful distance is he, Kevodo, and you can speak to somebody in the third person, and it's a little hard for some of us, Americans, etc. But we can do it.
Another aspect of this be that he is impersonal in the sense of Elohim, former of the laws and all the matter that governs the universe, and it's all structured and if you like, it's the impersonal aspect of the seemingly impersonal aspect of the universe, whereas you is more havaya, your personal involvement in what's happening in our lives, my life, and hidden behind the form of the laws of nature. So one's impersonal, Hashem is Elohim, and the other is personal, Hashem is Havaya. Is that reasonable?
Yes and no. It is reasonable. It's a Shtaim Shem Arba. It's a type thing of two that are four. Each one contains a you and a he.
Mm.
What we hinted at last week is that do with Birkat Hamazon, is like. Let me just see how I want to say this. I have to give you the example of Birkat Hamazon. So we're not going to give it all. I'm not going to say exactly what all four are, but the first bracha of Birkat Hamazon is third person. Hazanat ha'olam kulo b'tuvo. He created the world with his goodness, and it goes on. The second and the third brachot are Nodeh Lecha, we thank you. Second person. Rachem na Hashem Elokeinu Yisrael Amecha, your people. The fourth bracha is third person again. I Avinu Elokeinu Adirenu Boreinu Avinu Kedoshenu Kedosh Yaakov Roreinu Roreinu Melchat V'Hameti B'Shlucho Yom V'Yom Hu Yitiv Lanu Meiti Lanu Yitiv Hu Gemalanu Hu, right? Hu. Third person. But there's a difference between the third person of the first bracha and the third person of the fourth bracha. Oh, an unbelievable difference. There's the third person where I can't speak to you because I feel so far away from you. I'm in exile. That's the fourth bracha. And it hurts. And they say that Rabban Gamliel and his Beit Din, they made up this fourth bracha, Birkat Hamazon, when the dead of Beitar, when they were allowed to bury the dead who died, who were killed by the Romans in Beitar. There was so many dead bodies, and they were piled up, and it was very, very, they wanted to smash us in our spirit, us to bury our dead. So Rabban Gamliel, when the king the Roman emperor who prevented us from burying was replaced by a Roman emperor who allowed us, he made the bracha Hatov v'Hametiv. You are good and you do good. You are good that the bodies did not smell, and that you're do good that you allowed us to bury our dead. Talking about a long time. I don't know how long. What a strange, terrible way to have to make a bracha. Not terrible. It's not the word. It's a painful way of thanking Hashem. It's a thankfulness, it's a praise, but it's a roundabout, to say the least. We have to find a better word.
Backwards.
Yeah. It could have been worse, so we're thanking you. So, but that's different from the first bracha, which is, so the Gemara says, I forgot which page in the Gemara in Brachot. The Gemara in Brachot says that Moshe instituted tikkun. He formulated the basic formulation of the first bracha Birkat Hamazon on what? On what food were they eating?
Man.
Quail? No, on the man. He made that bracha on the man. There's not one mention there of physical food. Hazan ta'olam kulo b'tuvo b'chen b'chesed. You feed the world with chen. You feed the world with chesed. Oh my goodness. There is one mention at the end of noten lechem l'chol basar. You give lechem to all flesh, but lechem has spiritual connotations also, so it can still fit into the fact that it's on, or you can say that man is called lechem abirim in Tehillim, the bread of the angels, angel food cake. So it's not regular bread. One way or the other, the first bracha is on the manna. We'll come back to this in a second, and it's in third person. The second and third bracha, the second bracha is Yoshua established the basic formulation of the second bracha when he went into the land. Al ha'aretz ve'al hamazon. That's the special produce of Eretz Yisrael and the special laws of the Torah that have to do with challah and truma and maaser and all the different the things that we have to do when we deal with the produce of the land of Israel because of its intrinsic holiness. And also really on a deeper level because the manna has now dressed up in the fruits of Israel. So you're still eating the manna, but you're eating it in a physical form. But it's a highly evolved physical form. And then the third bracha of the Birkat Hamazon, all of this is part of the original chapter that all this comes from, because it's a bigger chapter. But it's a chapter in my book, A World of Infinite Blessings, which I'll be glad you have. Other people don't have it, that you can send it to them. It's fascinating stuff. That the third bracha is from David and Shlomo. The conquest of Yerushalayim and the building of the Beit HaMikdash. So you have both of those in Rachem Yisrael Amecha Yerushalayim Yerecha V'Yotzi Mishkan Kivodecha V'al Hechalecha V'al, right, whatever the different nusach is, but it has to do with Yerushalayim and it has to do with the Beit HaMikdash. That's second person. Even though now the food symbolically has now dressed up, the manna is not only dressed up in the produce of Eretz Yisrael, but now we're living in a city. And I'm not saying that it was like this back then, but if you send little Yankala to the store to buy some milk, so unless you make clear to him that the milk doesn't come from the store, honey, the milk comes from a cow. You got to go to a farm to see where the milk comes from, and then we can see the milk and the packaging of the milk and all that. That's really just artificial. In the city, you lose more contact with the manna. It's now in a double wrapping. It's in the fruit of Eretz Yisrael itself, and the fruit of Eretz Yisrael itself is wrapped up in another wrapping. It's the Yud of Hashem's name wrapped up in the Hey of Hashem's name. Now both of them are now wrapped up in the Hey of Hashem's name. And when we're going to digest the food and say these Birkat Hamazon, we're going to unwrap the food and get the manna again, right? And thank Hashem for that awesome spiritual sustenance that He's giving us, the sparks of holiness that are in the food we eat, and we're going to lift them up with our prayer and with our singing and with our Divrei Torah. There's a whole thing here. But so I went off the subject a little bit by going too much into that, and so there is more there. But now the main point is, interesting. There's he, there's you, and he. The difference between the first he and the last he. Look at you. I'm in it hurts. I'm in Auschwitz. All I have is bread and tears. Tears for my bread. I can't directly relate to you. I can't see you. It hurts too much. But so I call out to you as he. The he of the first bracha is that as much as I know you and as I appreciate you in my life, I know that there's only a little bit of who you are. And I know that beyond that is an infiniteness. I want more of that infiniteness, and I want more of the he to become you. But when I do that, another greater level of he becomes revealed behind the you that I know. I hope the language I'm speaking it's the language I learned from the davening. That the you that I want is so important to me, but I never can hold you. I never can cage you in it. I always have to know that you're beyond that, and that's called the infinite he. So that's very different than I can't talk to you because it hurts. Okay.
Isn't part of the he also the fact that he is what allows us to do what we need to do in this world? Him being a he, by creating that separation, is what allows us to accomplish what we need to accomplish here.
Oh, that's beautiful. The fact that Hashem has created a certain distance between him and us in order to allow us to be us, to allow you to be you, me to be me, is predicated on the fact that he hides somewhat and that he's a he.
Right.
Beautiful. King David, Psalm 23, another example. Mizmor David, Adonai Roi, Lo Echsa, that's third person, Binot, Bineot, Deshe, Yavitzeni, he lays me down in luscious, luxuriant fields. Al Menuchot, Inahaleni, streams of water, he guides me. I'm like a sheep. It's all like the relations of a sheep to a shepherd. Nafshi Yeshovev, he returns my soul, restores my soul. Yancheni, he guides me. B'maglet Tzedek, on pathways of righteousness. Leman Shemo, for the sake of his name. Third person, even though it wasn't clear in the first, but it's there in one word, and that one word basically tells us that until now it's all been third person. Gam ki elech b'getz hamavet lo irara ki ata imadi. Wow. Dafka in the gates hamavet, in the valley of the shadow of death. I can't, he is not enough. I need you. I need you. I need you. I need you, I need you, I need you. Shivtecha, Mish'antecha, your staff that you support me with. Mish'antecha, even your rod with which you smite me. Hema Yenachamuni, they will comfort me. Because even when it hurts, I know it's you that makes all the difference. That's like, so you have Tehillim, you have many Tehillim. This is just one example of switching from third person to second person, because in the depths of darkness, that's when I call out. There's a Tehillim 139. If you don't mind, there's a whole shelf of Tehillim there. Tehillim 139. Only one more example. Then thank you. 139. Where can I go to escape your spirit? Where can I get away from your face, your presence? Verse 7. Verse 8. Im esak shamayim, if I ascend to heaven, sham ata, you're there. Ve'atzia she'o, and if I descend, they say, if I descend to she'o, to the depths, to the nether, to the lower world, hineka, hine ata, hineka, hine ata. In Shamayim, shamata. In hell, hine ata. Oh my goodness. You're closer to me in hell than I could ever. Like heaven is he. Sham. Shamayim. Double sham. There's always a Shamayim above the Shamayim that I reach. Oh, I got here. Oh, there's a horizon beyond the horizon. I got to the horizon, but the horizon that I was seeing was when I was back there. And now I got to this horizon. There's another horizon. We spoke about this at the beginning of the year. It's called Makif and Makif to Makif. But here in She'ol, Hine Ata. Whoa, that's so special, right? That's Gam Ki Elach Begeit Salmavet Lo Irara Ki Ata Imadi. So he's very consistent. It's like crazy that he says this, because we need you more, and you're here with us. Like entire Torah's on this. But to the tzad, you say to him, you think you're close. Aye mekom kivodo, Habibi, even the angels are asking Hashem, where's the place of your glory? But a person who feels far away from Hashem and who feels that he's completely down and out, Melo kol haaretz kavado, you have to know Hashem's presence is so close to you. It's nothing. Maybe he's saying, if you think you're close, you're far away. But if you feel far away, you're close. The paradox of me. When it's me, myself, and I'm close, then you're very far away. But if it's like, who am I? I've lost everything. I'm down and out. My life is hard. But to know that you're with me makes all the difference. Okay. So, wow.
You really have that experience and you wouldn't really be in hell. You wouldn't be at the gates of Mavit. If Hashem was really with you, like it would be transformed.
Yeah. So then I'm
curious of what happens. Like once he acknowledges that Hashem is with him, at first it feels like he's in this dark place, and then he says, "Well, I know you're here." So then something has to shift, I would imagine.
So how much can shift when my consciousness shifts and I feel Hashem's presence, even though just a second ago I was in a very dark place, the black hole, the vortex. I was being pulled down. And now I feel his presence. How much can that change? It changes me. My teacher said, Rav Atiya said, King David suffered as much as Job, but King David sang and prayed and called out, and Job cursed. And that's what makes King David different. But he had a hard life. It didn't necessarily change the physical reality. As I heard from the Gadol Flir many years ago, some people you can call out and Hashem changes your life situation on the spot. Some people, they have to call out their whole life. And when they get to Shemayim and they ask, why didn't you help me? It's because your tikkun was to call out. That's what you needed to do. We were there with you, but we couldn't show you any change. But it was very important that you called out. That's a hard one. Tell that to somebody who's been calling out and not feeling that they've been answered or feeling that they haven't been answered. But as we say in the davening, Kaveh el Adonai, Hazak v'yametz v'decha v'kaveh el Adonai. Why does hope to God? Be strong in your heart and hope to God. Why would I have to say that if I felt I've been answered? I haven't been answered. I haven't been answered. So take strength and keep hoping.
Where is that?
It's the end of 27. But what I want to say about it is that the way Hashem sets life up is punctuated by droughts and valleys. And even though a valley is a valley, and when something hurts, it hurts. But when you have some tools, and you have emunah, which is not just, even though Rabbi Nachman talks about emunah, but pshuta, simple emunah, but emunah that's tried and tested, that you believe even though there's no outward sign or indication, but you still believe. Maybe I'm not ready to talk about this right now, I see. Mm-hmm. What gets me through? What gets me through, personally speaking, is that I feel the humanness of my situation. I don't go into a head trip. I've told the story of what happened to me 2 years ago before Rosh Hashanah, that I was trying to go straight on Rehov Nagid, to come towards Agrippa's. And the traffic was backed up down on Nagid. And I was waiting. It was 3, 4, at least 4 red lights, and I wasn't moving. And I had an appointment. And I just felt I had to get out of there. So it just, my mazel, as I made a left turn onto Bezalel, but it was at the wrong moment because the traffic was coming up from King George, and there was a guy in a cab making a left turn, and he stopped right in front of me. So I waved him and said, "Keep going, I need to go." And he stopped, and he wouldn't go anywhere, and he started swearing at me. And then he spit at me. And I felt so dirty. And then he went by, and I made my left turn, and then I saw in my back window a police car, and I went around and made a right turn on Mesilat Yesharim. I pulled over. He came and he said, "That's like 1,000 shekels." I said, "Yeah, but I did what I could." It was like I couldn't wait any longer. So he said, "Give me your license and your registration." He went to his police car, brought it back, and he said, "You'll get it in the mail." The strange thing is I never got anything in the mail. It's like not normal. So that's interesting. But I did, and I went through the day, and I went to my appointment, and I the whole thing and everything. And the next morning,
I always knew the mail system was terrible.
And the next morning, I felt like really depressed about that. Right.
Yeah,
I felt.
on your face.
Yeah, it came
He
out
was
to me.
standing up.
No, I was in my car, and he was in his car.
And
He spit at me, and it was not pleasant.
Your window was open, obviously.
My window was open, and his was open. So I felt like really down. I davened in the morning. I came back home. I lay down in bed, and I said, "Hashem, please help me process this because I feel so dirty." And it came to me in a very, very powerful way that Hashem says to me, "It's better than 100 mikvahs. Worry. You have just been cleansed because your ego was hurt. But that's not who you are." So it took me a while to work with that a little bit, but that came in pretty heavy, and I'll never forget it. You just got cleansed more than 100 immersions in a mikvah.
I think I read in Chafetz Chaim, it's like a death. Because
To be
he
insulted.
was urinated on a ship from the higher level to the other level, and he was in Simcha. And everybody said, "How could you be in Simcha?" He said, humiliation, it's a death. He said, "I just was cleansed, and it was a gift from Hashem."
I'm sure all of us have experiences, and that's very powerful. The Chafetz Chaim was on a ship, and he was urinated on, and he rejoiced because he knew that when you get that level, and Shemaim brings that to you, it's not the person who's urinating, it's Shemaim. So that's something that you have to work on when it's on the easier stuff.
Right.
What Shemaim does, yes.
You said it was on the Sirach Sharon Street.
Yeah.
Did you connect that?
No, I never connected.
Well, it was your friend helping you out there.
But that's the example of the atah and the hu, because it happens to you and you don't relate it to that's life, right? We don't necessarily know there's a bigger connection. Get caught up in it's random or it's why did it happen or whatever. And it's the process of actually getting through that and understanding that it's all being controlled by something bigger. It's getting back to that. So redemption is going to be hard. The hitnadut, the counter forces against redemption are going to come to the fore, are going to try and do everything they can to stop the redemption process. Unbeknownst to them, they are actually accelerating the redemption process. But in the meantime, to us, the way we experience it, it will be like we're being spit in the face. It'll be he
a million times feeling that we've been abandoned. In the midst of that, we can feel you. But we need, as what the Chazal speak about, a machteret, an underground passageway directly to the Kisei HaKavod. We need to dig under. We need to be able to have a direct, despite everything inside, and to know that Hashem is bringing about redemption. It has to be so powerfully clear to us that nothing can stop the redemption. The redemption is built into creation. There's more here on the pages, but I ask that you'll read it on your own to get it. And then if you wouldn't mind writing to me and interacting with me about what you've gotten and what you want and whatever, I don't know what to say. On page 6, you have a chart. We didn't go through all of this week, but together this week and last week, you have creation, revelation, redemption. So in terms of the davening, in terms of Marav, and in terms of Shachri, right after the first two brachot, you have Shema Yisrael. You have the main flower in the bouquet. The whole bouquet is built around Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Echad. The first two brachot lead up to it, and the third bracha is the totza'ah, it's the result. When you add together creation and revelation, it equals redemption. How's that work? Simply, it works that you plug revelation into creation. You plug the revelation of Torah, the Torah that you're learning, and you plug it into the way Hashem runs the world, into nature, into history, and say, oh my goodness, the Torah, the whole reason the Torah was revealed is so we could see Hashem. The creation is more hidden. That's why it's He. We talked about last week the whispers of Hashem that He uttered, the 10 utterances of creation, and why they're more subtle. They're very subtle. Whereas the 10 declarations, the Aseret Dibrot of the Torah of Anochi, is clearly Hashem speaking to us. But we then were supposed to take that Torah and connect the two. And the marriage of creation and revelation is we clear the way for redemption. But in the middle is Shema Yisrael, which is, again, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem, which is, in a sense, maybe what Avraham said, but also Hashem is transcendence, is that He is above and beyond anything we can know. And Elokeinu is the one who's close to us, in the dark and in the good, at the chuppah, and also in the hospital room. That's Elokeinu both. And in Yud Ke Vav Ke, you have the Yud and the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey. So the Yud Ke is more hidden, and the Vav Ke is more revealed. And then you have in the Yud Ke itself, the Yud is more hidden, and the Hey is more revealed. You have, in other words, you have micro levels within. You can telescope up, and you can connect to Hashem's Yud. You can connect to Hashem's to the top of Hashem's, the letter called the apex, the Hutzah Shel Yud, and you can directly connect with that. Because all these names, all these things are there. They have general levels in them. They have the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, and then in micro levels they have. It's always both. I didn't clarify that as much as maybe I should have. But the point is that in the middle between these brachot is the Shema Yisrael, which is the Achad. That I am one in creation, I am one in revelation. It's me, it's the same one, I am me in redemption. You'll know this at the very end. You'll know this at the very end, that I was one. The Rokeach brought by the in the Rabbeinu Bachya on Devarim 6:4, which is Shema Yisrael, the Rabbeinu Bachya brings the Rokeach. He says, Shema Yisrael, Hashem, I am the one who was before creation. Elokeinu, I am the one who is during creation. Hashem, I am the one who will be after creation. Echad, for me, there's no difference. I am one before, during, and after. For you, there is, but for me, you have to know that I am one before, during, and after. And when you know that, like we said at the beginning tonight, that impacts on your own being, that your own soul vis-a-vis your own personality, your own internal makeup vis-a-vis your external makeup, the part of you that's conscious that you know about, the problem areas. The internal, the hidden aspect of who we are is one, is unified. But the external part is all kinds of parts and all kinds of things. So we have to bring more of the inner into the outer. We have to dip into that mikvah of the inner being of who we are, the essence of godliness that we are, and bring it more out into all the external facets of our life. It's a big thing by me,
So
is that image. Yes.
After Shavuos, I had this perception of the Shema that was very powerful, which I ask you about. So it goes, just to say that Shema, period, okay? Yisrael Hashem, Yisrael Hashem, Elokeinu Hashem,